Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2019 career mode, episode number 100 today for the Singapore Grand Prix in Season 5. Now, before we get into today's episode, I have a really exciting announcement to make that from today onwards, I'm officially partnered and affiliated with the official Formula 1 store. So if you guys have ever wanted to get any Formula 1 merchandise for any of your favorite F1 teams ahead of the season or later on in the year, you can now use the code aarava5 at checkout for a 5% discount across the entire store. So any accessories or anything like that, or proper team gear, replica gear for any team you want to get off the official F1 store, you can use the code aarava5 at checkout, get a 5% discount, and that will also directly support me as a creator as well. So if you want to get some merchandise before the F1 season kicks off, or even later in the year, any point really, you can use that code at any time, and it will get you that 5% off. There'll be a link from now on in every single video description to the F1 store as well, so you can go via that link as well to the store directly, and then use that code at checkout and get yourself some money off anything you want to get ahead of the F1 season, or like I said, throughout the year basically. But let's get into this then, episode number 100. Now I know for episode 100, maybe for some of you that might be a really special number, you know, you want me to do something special, but it falls on the Singapore Grand Prix, and I gotta be honest with you guys, there's no way I'm gonna do a 100% race at the Singapore Grand Prix, for the simple fact, by the time we get to season 5 here, the Singapore Grand Prix is no longer even a 2-stop race. It is the longest race on the F1 calendar, and I'm not going to be recording for 2 hours just to make a 25-minute video, if that really, in terms of action there. So sadly, there will not be any kind of special treatment for the Singapore Grand Prix. I will say the classic Formula 1 driver line, every race is the same, we take it race by race, and so we come to Singapore like any other episode in Season 5 and the season's gone by. So if you guys did miss the previous episode, then be sure to go check them on it before you see this one, as that was an exquisite episode at the Italian Grand Prix. I don't want to spoil it, but it just was a mega episode. A great one for us at Ferrari especially, and looking forward to now moving on. Spoiler alert now, giving you enough time, we lead the Drivers' Championship now after winning that Grand Prix, and 3 wins in a row actually, and 2 1-2s for Ferrari in a row. So we are looking very decent all of a sudden in the championship, and the fight is very much on now between myself, Lewis Hamilton, but even the likes of Lucas Weber and Lando Norris could still be in there depending on how the rest of the season goes. But right now, you've got to say the momentum is with us, and not just myself, the team as well, because Russell's been performing really well in the last few episodes as well. But Singapore's going to be a tough one. We've got some rain forecasts for Saturday, so that might make qualifying very tricky, and the race itself is always tricky. Even if it is just a 1-stop race in Singapore now, the tyres are still really difficult to manage in terms of the tyre carcass temperature, so that will be an issue to deal with as well. But let's go towards Saturday and see how we do over 1 lap.
It's time for us to settle down and the drivers below to get fired up. Once again, welcome to Singapore as we get ready for the green light and the start of what should be a fantastic qualifying session. Now then, Anthony Davidson, you're not getting any younger, but you have been involved in your fair share of qualifying sessions in an illustrious 30-year career. How do you deal with the pressure when you have that one chance to deliver a perfect lap?
It's not so much about dealing with the pressure, it's more about how you approach the risk and just how much of it are you willing to take. You're constantly balancing the car on the edge of grip from braking, cornering and traction. And over the course of a lap, it's easy to get that balance wrong. And that's why achieving the perfect lap is almost impossible. As you say, I've been doing this 30 years now, and it never gets any easier.
Right, we start off Q1 then in the oddest way I've ever started a qualifying session on this game. At the very start, I noticed that my gearbox was worn, and so I restarted the session, and then I immediately changed the gearbox, noticing that I will have just about enough time to change the gearbox mid-Q1. So it takes about 12 minutes there to change the component. It does mean I will take a penalty, I have to, but either way, I would have had to anyway, even if I did qualifying with the worn gearbox. But my gearbox was so worn, I would have probably had an issue midway through my lap in Q1 or Q2 or Q3. So here we are then, the last 2 minutes of qualifying, my one and only flying lap here. This is going to be in Q1 to get through into Q2, so a lot of pressure here to make it through the drop zone here, but we get up to P4 there, so no issue in the end there, and we will make it up into Q2 there. But a very odd situation, having to change a gearbox in an actual racing session, not practice or anything like that, or not between qualifying and practice there. So there's a first time for everything, but there you go, 5-place grid penalty, so no matter where I qualify, I will have to take 5 places dropped, so that's a little bit annoying. So already we're on the back foot a little bit there. there. I guess it comes and goes. You know, in Formula 1 you have swings and lows. We've had 3 wins on the bounce, so I guess I was due some bad luck, I guess, at some point coming through in the next part of the season. So we move through then into Q2. You can see now the rain has come down a little bit earlier than I was actually expecting. I thought the rain would only meet us in the top 10 shootout there. So intermediate conditions. Thankfully, though, we actually had some lightning pace there. So carrying over from the Italian Grand Prix, our pace in intermediate conditions was really good. P1 there. Russell in through to the top 10 shootout as well. But remember, obviously, now we have to do the job in Q3. No matter where we are, even if that is pole position, we'll be down 5 positions. But in between Q2 and Q3, there was heavy rain. Like towards the end of Q2, it was full wet conditions. And at the very start of Q3, my engineers were telling me to go on full wet tyres. But then by the time we got through to the end of the session, it was back time for the intermediate. So a bit of an awkward kind of stage where the track's getting wetter, then drier. So I didn't really know when the best time was to go out for my flying lap. I decided to go towards the end of the session there, and across the line we go. It was going to be provisional pole position at the time of crossing the line, but by the time we get to the end of the session, you guys know what's up, unfortunately, sometimes with the AI speeding up at the very end of the session there, and we're lo and behold all the way down in P8, Russell in P10. So after having such great pace at the Italian Grand Prix, I guess the Singapore Grand Prix just has way too many corners for our car to perform well in the wet conditions. Maybe it was a little bit more treacherous in Q3 than it was in Q2 when we set that lap time versus everyone else, or maybe everyone else just got faster basically in Q3 once they turn up their engines. I'm not too sure. Either way, though, we're down in P8, which will be at least P13 then for the race start, which is going to be a far cry from where we were in the last few episodes. But that's just the way the cookie has crumbled, and we just have to make the most of it basically. We know we do have a decent car in a straight line. The car, in theory, should still be pretty well in the dry. I haven't actually driven this track on the dry at the moment this season because practice was also a little bit wet, so we'll see how it goes basically, but just hoping the race pace is there as it has been for the last 3 episodes and we can make a charge to the forefront of the field. Let's go to the grid. Let's see how we do.
As the sun sets over the South China Sea, the sport that never sleeps is alert and raring to go. Welcome, under the bright lights of the Marina Bay Circuit, to another Singapore Grand Prix. It's a very long, very physical lap, this one, and really there's not much in the way of margin for error. So we have a bit of an endurance race for you tonight. It's a 3.1 mile lap here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit with 47% taken at full throttle. It's hot, humid and bumpy around the 13 lefts and the 10 rights of mostly slow corners. But we should see speeds of up to 200 miles per hour along the Raffles Boulevard. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. We have a really close scrap at the top of the championship at the moment, and they're right in the thick of it. But any mistake now could be disastrous.
Of course, there's never a good time to make mistakes, but it will feel 10 times worse if it happens at such a critical point of the season. Let's hope this contest is settled where it should be, on track, wheel to wheel.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday and will start from pole position, edging out Devon Butler, who'll start from P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Ricciardo, Weber, Lewis Hamilton and Kvyat, Leclerc, Russell, Vettel and Sergio Perez. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Gasly, Giovinazzi, the engineer and Grosjean. Stroll, Verstappen, Kimi Raikkonen and Nico Hülkenberg. Magnussen and Valtteri Bottas begins the race from the back of the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Right, so thankfully for me, the race will be all dry here on Sunday. Otherwise, I may have had to find the nearest bridge, to be honest, because the Singapore Grand Prix is really not one of the races where I fancy doing any wet running in the race on heavy fuel. So it's all dry. It's going to be a one-stop race. The strategy is from a hard tyre to a medium compounded tyre. One of the few races where the tyre wear is so high and the tyre temperatures are so tricky to control that the soft tyre really shouldn't even come into play, really, in terms of the one-stop strategy here. So we're going to start on the hard tyres. It will mean we're a little bit slower, maybe at the beginning of this this Grand Prix, but it means we will get faster as we go on through onto that second set of medium tyres there. We're going to lower the fuel down to literally the amount of fuel we have laps to do, because now with the final fuel efficiency upgrade we had for this episode at the very beginning here, this engine is going to be super efficient. We're going to have to obviously turn down the engine to standard and lean at some points to try and save the engine temperatures, so I feel like we're not going to need that extra fuel, and there's a high possibility of a safety car here at the Singapore Grand Prix, as is in real life, and obviously after the patch, there's a high chance there's a safety car here now on the F1 game as well, the likes of the Singapore Grand Prix circuit, so kind of banking on that as well to help us out in terms of the fuel, but also I think our engine's going to be so efficient as well, we won't really need the extra helping hand. So with that then, let's get into this then as we go to 5 red lights to this Singapore Grand Prix, under night sky, under the front lights, 5 lights are out, and we're underway, and it's a slow expected start from us there off the lights, because of course we are on the hardest compound at time. We've got a lot of people around us on mediums. We go into turn 1 very close to being sandwiched between the two Haas cars there of Giovinazzi and Romain Grosjean on the right hand side and the left there. You can see Russell side by side with the Racing Point car there on the left hand side. I believe he's also on the hard tyres there, so both of us are trying the same strategy, and I believe our main championship rival Lewis Hamilton is also on the hards, whereas Lando Norris has opted to start on the medium tyres. Makes sense, he's the pole man trying to get away from all the action, I guess. But here we go now, sending one, a late one down the inside of the Italian in the Haas. Russell, meanwhile, has been just done by Grosjean there. Very surprising to see there. So Russell caught napping, trying to overtake the Racing Point, and instead has been overtaken by one of those Haas cars. Those two Haas's were causing us issues at the very start there, kind of being a roadblock. So thankfully got past one of them, and both of them are on medium tyres, so kind of crucial to try and get past as many of these medium tyre runners basically as we can. There is a nice kind of chunk of a line of cars that are on hard tyres in the top 10 there, but we've got a bit of a hurdle to kind of get over, which is these medium runners of the Haas, and also when he's trying to get past our teammate Russell if we can, who's looking a little bit slow to be honest here at the very start of this Grand Prix. We're going to try and go around the outside. He goes very defensive there, so early on the brakes. Round the outside we go, and it's a nice move up into P12, and for some reason there, Russell just not looking very quick there, so maybe he's taking to the hard tyres even less than I usually do, because you guys know me in this career mode. Usually I hate the hard white wall tyres here on the game. I much prefer the softer compound there, but Russell hating them even more, it seemed like, as we move now on to lap number 2, having a little look around the outside of Romain Grosjean as he's caught up behind Sebastian Vettel in the Williams there, who is another man on the hard tyres, and ahead of him is Gasly though on the mediums, who's now got away by the time we get to lap 4, so it's crucial that we get past. It's crucial for Grosjean to get past as well, because we're both losing so much time behind the German in the Williams car. The Frenchman on the left hand side trying to make the move stick for 2 corners now. Vettel though putting up a great fight on the inside there. DRS available, we go a little bit wide there, warning for extending the track. I don't really know why, because we didn't go too wide there. We open the DRS though. Here we go, overtake mode, rich mix engaged. We're going to get Sebastian Vettel, I feel, not Romain Grosjean though, that will have to wait, but round the outside we go of the German there, and he goes a little bit close to our rear end, but we get the job done on the exit curb up into P11, and now we try and do the best job of trying to stick with Romain Grosjean. He's got some clean air to work with now, so let's see how quick he is in that Haas with the fresh air. But by the time we get to lap number 7, we're still with him within 1 second and trying to still get past him if we can. But the main issue here at the moment is I've got the speed in a straight line here. You can see we're closing up so much here rapidly to the Frenchman, who even makes a mistake there as he maybe sees the sea of red in his mirrors. But in the corners, he's still got the advantage on mediums. But as we go on through the laps, his tyres will start to go out. Mine will obviously go out at a slower rate, so the hard tyres will eventually become the faster compound here, but we're just not quite there yet. But we are maybe a little bit closer to maybe make a dive bomb if we can. DRS open, overtake mode, rich mix here. We're going to go for it round the outside. Grosjean's very early on the brakes, defensive on the left hand side. He squeezes us off circuit there as we ride the curb like a skateboard on the right hand side. We're going to squeeze him out though and give him a bit of a taste of his own medicine there on the right hander, and we're through up into the points paying positions in P10, and now we've got a whole gaggle of cars on the medium tyres to join up to. Pierre Gasly, the Alfa Romeo Fiat, I believe that is. We've also got Sergio Perez in the second McLaren there, who's way down the order compared to his teammate Lando Norris, who leads this Grand Prix, I believe, by a decent margin there to the second place Lucas Weber and the 2 Mercedes cars here. But we're coming through now on lap 11, and we're closing up to Gasly, very much at the tail end of this train here. But now the same situation where we were with Grosjean and Vettel, now getting almost held up a little bit, and I can sense I do have enough pace to make the move on Gasly at some point here. Just need to try and be a bit patient and get a good enough exit through this right hander. We go a little bit wider than he does, cutting a bit tighter, get the power down earlier, open DRS. He's got DRS as well. The Racing Point cars pretty decent in a straight line there, but eventually we will just make enough gains to shoot one to the inside. Bit of contact on the front right there, but what's a little bit of love lost between two former championship rivals, myself and Pierre Gasly there, and we're up into P9. Now we have to the first few pit stops of the race. Kvyat's in, Leclerc is in the Toro Rosso and Alfa Romeo respectively. We're up into P7 now, and we close up to Sergio Perez. Norris, the race leader, is also in there, sending past up the Grand Prix he has done so far. So we're up into P5 now, ahead of Sergio Perez are the two Mercedes cars of Hamilton and Ricciardo, and I believe they are both on the hard tyres. So it's crucial to try and get past Sergio Perez now, because then I'm racing literally on track the people I'm actually racing in terms of the strategy. Because remember, Perez and the likes of everyone else that we've just passed are out of sync of our strategy. So here we go to the inside, no nonsense, getting the move done nice and easy on Sergio Perez as quick as we can. Obviously his tyres are now wearing out because he's coming in for a pit stop on this next lap. So my tyres now are effectively faster than his, and we have to make that move stick, because now we can close up to the people we're actually racing for the strategy, which are Hamilton and Ricciardo. And that's crucial, of course, because Hamilton is one of our main championship rivals. I mean, Norris and Weber are still there as well, but remember, Hamilton's been the main issue for us, so we're going to try and cover him off, essentially, and try and mimic what he's doing in this Grand Prix, and try and focus on him, essentially. I believe, to be honest, Norris and Weber look like they have a bit too much pace this episode for us. We're going to try and do the best job we can, limit the damage for the championship. And so on to lap 16, that will mean trying to get past Lewis Hamilton there, and then maybe get on the back of his teammate Darren Ricciardo. At the moment, surprised to see Hamilton, the second Mercedes on the road here. So Ricciardo so far looking like he got a bit more pace than his British teammate here in the Silver Arrow at Singapore. So we're going to line up a pass hopefully on Hamilton here. We should have the speed in a straight line. The Mercedes car has been pretty okay in a straight line as well, but I feel like we've had the advantage here for sure so far in this season. So here we go, overtake mode, DRS open. Hamilton is just going to be a little bit too far though this time round. So we're going to have to stick around for one more lap potentially, but every lap we're stuck behind Hamilton and Ricciardo, the worse it's going to be for us in terms of the race strategy. But in some kind of way, this will work to Mercedes' strategy in terms of keeping us behind there. So I think they may not be too fussed about going faster. It does seem like they are going kind of oddly slow at this stage of the GP. This time, they were a lot closer to Hamilton's rear end through the first few turns. So looking back behind me, that's Lando Norris there. The effective race leader is already catching up to us now, having made his first pit stop there. So that's how far and dominating he's been this entire race so far. But here we go now. The second time lucky. Both of us with DRS. We go to the right-hand side there after faking to the left there. Long way around again on the curb, as has been the case 2-3 times so far in this GP, and we get the move done on Hamilton, who literally just doesn't seem like to have any pace there. So now can we try and waltz on and get Ricciardo just as easily as we come through the last corner now on towards lap 18. DRS open, we're going to get him on the main straight this time, the long way around on the right hand side, but he's got the better inside line. They'll push me off circuit a little bit there. We give him the room because he's fully alongside us there, so we're neck and neck now through that left-hander, and he's got the traction now really nicely there, and actually gets the advantage. He's ahead of me through the next right-hander. We're very awkwardly pinched in on that apex curb that kind of obviously is raised there, so it kind of unsettles the car somewhat, and so we have to stick behind. Neither of us have DRS for some reason here on this straight. I don't know why exactly that is. So Ricciardo lives to fight another day, and this is actually working out so well for Hamilton. We have a little look on the outside there. Ricciardo gives us the room before pinching it completely off there and almost squeezing us into the wall. But yeah, this works out so well for Lewis Hamilton, who's going to pit now on this very same lap there as me and Ricciardo go on for one more lap. So Ricciardo, I believe this is a little bit of team tactics here between Mercedes. Ricciardo slowing down myself as Hamilton comes in for an undercut strategy to maybe try and get our championship rival ahead of us in this race. So it's very crucial to try and get past Ricciardo. But as you can see here, as we go down the main straight, DRS open once more to try and make the move on Ricciardo on the back straight here. Going to go to the inside, but he's doing such a great job at defending there, pinching me again onto the curb, unsettles the car, and again for the second time now can't make a move on the next subsequent right-hander there. And so Ricciardo doing a brilliant job at defending against myself and doing a great job for his teammate there, Hamilton, because I'm sure this is going to pay him dividends because Norris has closed up to us even more so. So by the time we come through to the end of lap 19, here is going to be the telltale kind of signs. Has Ricciardo actually been doing a job for Hamilton? Has this worked out for Hamilton and Mercedes? Let's find out. We're into the pit lane now for our one and only pit stop onto a set of medium tyres now. Ricciardo in obviously just ahead of us there on the pit box. We're going to have strap on this yellow set of tyres. We're a little bit delayed on the exit there. We lose some time in the pit lane due to the mechanics not releasing me fast enough there. So we lose some time not only to Ricciardo, but look at the minimap there on the left-hand side now as we wait and to see where on earth Hamilton is going to be there. And I think he's going to come through very easily as we're still coming out of the pit lane. And there goes Hamilton now, shooting into turn 1. He's even jumped Ricciardo as well. So Ricciardo has very much, I believe, forfeited himself. The team has decided to forfeit him to help Hamilton in the championship there, because he's also been overtaken himself by his teammates. So Hamilton now is ahead of both of us there. And so now we've got to pull up our socks. We've got all the work to do. 11 laps to go to try and catch not only Ricciardo, but also Hamilton once again. And they're actually going to start off straight away on lap 21 into turn 1. Hamilton to the inside of Leclerc. Leclerc round the outside of the Toro Rosso. He'll have the inside line for the next corner, but he locks up there. The two still neck and neck. Ricciardo now joins the fight. I do as well. We're going to switch back to the left-hand side, try and out-traction the Aussie man on the left. Doesn't quite work out, though, as we get pinched again by Ricciardo. This man really knows how to place his car, I must say, in the brake zone, to be honest. He's done that now 3 times and stopping me making an overtake. But here we go now. He makes a move on Leclerc, but we're going to make the massive dive on the outside. The right, it's 3 wide here through the next left-hander. That shouldn't actually physically work. I don't know how we've done that, but we're now down the inside of Leclerc, side by side with the Toro Rosso man. He bangs tyres with us on the front left tyre. We're going on the right, and it's a very awkward move to make there, so close to the wall, but we make it somehow stick, and we're up into P5 now of the Singapore Grand Prix, and we somehow made that triple 3 wide double overtake work somehow. I mean, that corner is so tight as it is for 2 cars, let alone 3, but you can see there, just, yeah, pretty respectful racing actually between myself, Ricciardo and Leclerc, and then obviously Leclerc had a bit of contact there on the next right-hander to the left, but we made it work, and we're up the position now into P5, and now we can try and think about chasing after Hamilton then. But actually, first and foremost, on lap 23, we have an issue to try and resolve. You can see in the bottom right there, my front right tyre is absolutely cooked there. The internal carcass temperature is brick orange, and when that happens, there's nothing you can do apart from trying to slow down your driving, try and be as smooth as you can on the throttle application and the turning of the front end basically, and try and have a very smooth driving style with the steering wheel to try and cool down that internal temperature basically, because the outside temperature is fine, the internal one though is completely cooked, and that won't resolve itself unless you do this. So having to slow myself down on purpose in lap 24 to try and cool this tyre down, you can see it pretty much takes a third or more of the entire lap there on lap 23 to 24 to finally get that tyre cooled. Now I can get the power down, and now I can start pushing once again here, and eventually we will try and close up to Hamilton then on towards the end of lap 25 onto lap 26 already. Now setting the pace there, fast after the Grand Prix there, so the car is flying finally now without those tyre issues, and we can try and close up and overtake our main championship rival today. Norris and Weber definitely going to outscore us today, but we can try and do some damage limitation and try and get Hamilton there, and we have the pace for it. Just need to try and push on and do it in the last 5 laps of this Grand Prix. So here we are then on lap 26 then, the very end of the last sector, and we've closed up to Hamilton. Just a case of being a little bit patient and trying to get this move done at the right time here. You can see on the right hand side the tyres are all fine now. The fuel wise, we're a little bit low on fuel, so we'll have to save some fuel once we've overtaken Hamilton, but right now burning it to try and get the move done as early as we can. Here we go to the inside of turn 1 there. It's going to be very close between us as we go a little bit wide as we lock up on the front left there, but we get it done. Hamilton gives us the space there, but now immediately down to lean mixture to try and save the fuel as quickly as we can to then give us some leeway at the end of the Grand Prix. That will mean we are susceptible to Hamilton. He's going to have DRS, of course, remember as well. We've got overtake mode to use, but he's still going to come at us at a rate of 0.2. We're back up to standard mixture, but Hamilton still goes for a massive dive on the outside there. We're a little bit early on the brakes, a little bit awkward on the rear end as well, and he actually has it to the inside, somehow finds the room. This time, though, we have the space to work with on that right-hander, and we're able to defend Hamilton there on the inside, and now we've already saved the fuel because the engine's so efficient there, and so we can go back up into standard and rich mix towards the end of this Grand Prix and just push on and consolidate this P4 as we come through now. Lando Norris in the McLaren has won this Grand Prix. I believe Lucas Weber is the man in second place, Devin Butler third place, but we come home in a pretty damn decent P4 from P13 on the grid, and a lot of traffic to deal with in this GP.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
McLaren have pulled it off. They've won in spectacular fashion here today. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track.
So yeah, in the end, our other two rivals, Lando Norris and Lucas Weber, will outscore us there. So they do close up a little bit. Weber in particular is actually still very much in the fight there. Only 13 points off ourselves, but we extend our lead to Hamilton, which is good news for us. In the Constructors, though, it's looking a little less likely because we don't just have the momentum there to maybe try and challenge Renault. They've been so consistent as of late this entire season, really. So they're looking stronger still this episode. So we'll kind of tentatively see about that. But obviously the main one I'm focused on is the Drivers' Championship there. But all in all, can't complain. Pretty damn decent episode for us from what we had in qualifying at the start of that Grand Prix. In terms of upgrades at the end of this race, I actually couldn't afford the final air upgrade, so I have to wait one more episode to actually fully max out this Ferrari car then this season. So we'll just kind of wait on that basically for the next one there. So guys, if you did enjoy episode number 100 of this F1 2019 career, then be sure to smash that like button and let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you are new around here, do subscribe for weekly follow-on content. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I've been aarava. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.